All right, Monday afternoon. Oh, blimey, you can see my screen in these glasses. Let's take them off. I can't see anything now, but it doesn't matter. It's much easier to just talk without glasses on. This is uh, all the old stuff becomes the new stuff once you begin to do the old stuff again. I used to do what I called Friday tea breaks a little while back, maybe about a year or so ago. Um, Kind of just like talking live about stuff that was going on and stuff I was enjoying and stuff that was interesting to me. And I thought I'd bring them back. Although I'm actually recording this on a Monday afternoon because I've decided to do a first video on a Monday afternoon that's really about a subject, and then Friday will be more of a discussion of that subject, and hopefully with people commenting and what have you. Of course, it could be like the last time I did it, and nobody would be there while I was doing it, in which case I just listen to myself talking, which is fine as well. Um, why am I doing it? I guess is it's the first subject I'm going to talk about, which is what does it mean to be a human being in the machine that we're all in, um, and particularly as AI comes in and people cede their identity to AI by asking AI to be their identity and to write their identity and to represent their identity. Anyone who's paying any attention to LinkedIn in the past 6 months or so will have picked up on the sheer amount of AI slop that's coming in, which is fine. That's everywhere, and it's just a pain in the neck or other posterior regions. But the more worrying case is how many people who are trying to represent themselves for jobs or represent themselves as a service provider or an entrepreneur or whatever are using ChatGPT and or others to write their identity online. And all of the same playbook that has been used to death on Facebook, TikTok, uh, Instagram, et al., is now being used on LinkedIn. Multiple, like selfie-based woe is me tales, uh, any piece of family or childhood trauma dragged up, displayed as the hooky bit above the fold, so that when the fold opens and you read further down the post, it turns out it's just a sales pitch. So for a little while on Facebook, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, there was a trend for people to film themselves crying and then just sharing videos of themselves crying because it makes people pay attention. Um, Emotions are all well and good, but using them to weaponize your sales funnel is a little bit sneaky. I'll say, and that's probably about enough of that. But the point being that it's becoming harder and harder, I think, to tell reality from AI hallucinated identity. It's a bit harder to tell whether somebody is a real person or not. Interestingly, in my posts on LinkedIn, I do a lot of selling on LinkedIn. I sell my coaching services. I play the game, but I don't have AI write anything for me. I did for a while, way back when I was doing HR-based stuff, and even then only for a couple of weeks because I got sick of what it was making me sound like. So this was a big eye opener for me. But me moving away from AI wasn't just about that. It was about the fact that I actually like writing. I really like writing. I like connecting dots. I like that sensation of having dots and somehow the connection happening as I write them. And it's like, oh, that's connected to that. That's what my brain naturally does. That's what this thing is up there. That's my strengths plaque from Gallup. When I worked with Gallup, when I was working at Pfizer, I worked closely with Gallup and I had my strengths done several times. And that connecting piece of it, the activating, maximizing, connecting piece of what I do, that's what writing does for me. So I like to write. I also write poetry, I write song lyrics, I write all the other stuff. And I really like the process of poetry and writing poetry. I don't claim whether I'm good or bad at anything. I write and people take what they want from it. But there's a process that happens when I write poetry that I naturally edit for shortness and brevity and try and lose words as much as possible. Quite often my poems will be only one or two words per line, and in the spirit of letting people fill the gaps with their experience, so that it speaks to their experience more than mine. So about late April, early May, I started playing with that format on LinkedIn of just like not writing full sentences, not writing full paragraphs, just writing short, um, almost like poetry stanzas. And I quite like it. I've got quite used to it. Um, I've had a number of people ask me about it, so I tell them about it when they ask. But it was fundamentally about me saying, this is Vince. This is how Vince wants to be here. This is my voice. And no amount of AI can regenerate how I do that because it's weird English. In fact, it's kind of funny when I do some work with AI now where I use it as a sounding board to think through things. It will come back with suggestions for what I should write. I know how good the thing is I want to work on, because the more I feel a negative reaction to what the AI suggests, the more it's likely to be something I care about. So by the time I'm screaming at the screen of about stop trying to generate stuff, I know I've got something that I care about. The upshot is it can't do the poetry stuff. It's fascinating. It just can't. I'm sure it could be trained to. I'm sure in future iterations there will be a thing that can write just as Vince Tuckwood Lee as Vince Tuckwood does. Not yet. So first thing to say is that whenever you see me writing in that form, it's me writing. It's not anyone else. It's not any AI or otherwise. Secondly, that I just don't want AI to write stuff. The amount of time I spend writing into prompts saying, don't generate anything. It's kind of, that's, given it's generative AI, most of the time I'm telling it not to generate anything. Um, but there's something wider here. And this goes back to something that happened, I want to say it was probably at the start of the year, maybe back end of last year, but I think around January, February time, because it fed into The Way Through the Mountains, the book that I just published. Um, I was watching YouTube and I was watching, yeah, I'd watched The Shining again, as I'd watched The Shining pretty, not often, but regularly, because every time I watch it, I see something different in it. Um, and so I was watching reviews of The Shining. I was doing the post watch kind of out on YouTube, just looking at some stuff, and there was a channel. I can't remember the name of the channel. It doesn't really matter, but I'd like to give them a name call because it really helped me think through something. Um, it was a video review or movie review channel, and he has something like 3 million subscribers or something like that. And so I'd watched the thing about the Shining, and it was all good. It was a really good review, and it worked. But so because I'd watched it once, it started popping up. His channel started popping up on my feed a lot in YouTube, and so I watched a few more of the videos, and then there was one that came up that was, it was like I think it was a live session that he'd recorded and then posted. But he was saying some interesting things. He was going through responding to comments from his audience, and he was getting lots of complaints from his audience that he was doing more spoken to camera pieces, and not doing just movie cuts and like pieces of the movie or screen grabs of the movie. And he said that was true. It was a conscious decision that he was doing, but he was doing it because he was getting copyright strikes against all the stuff that he was doing, and he was putting together a lot of things. So he was losing revenue basically. He was at the scale where the revenue was it's a revenue generating machine. It's a company. So having him speaking to camera is obviously his own content. It's not something that Warner Brothers or Sony can come after him for. Even though he's doing free publicity for their movies, they still come after him, and that's the nature of the beast that we live in. So that was all good. That was the subject of the video. That was great to hear him talking about that and what was there, and I'd seen it on some other videos as well. But then he said something really interesting. He said, there's something in addition. It's not just the money. It was his opinion from having built a 3 million plus subscriber channel that we're entering what he called YouTube 3.0. My screen just zeroed. There we go. I'm back. Um, we're entering YouTube 3.0 was his point, and the point he was making was that there is so much AI slop on YouTube that people are crying out for humans being human, not humans being portrayed by AI. And he went at length about what that meant and what it meant for his channel and what his channel was going to be like going forward, all this stuff. It really got me thinking about this because I've been talking about it from the perspective of my org development stuff and my strategic work that I do. Somewhere within the next 5 to 10 years, there's the potential for about 70% of white collar jobs to be eliminated because of AI. And the first place it will begin to happen is people using AI to enhance their own performance. So those people who aren't using AI will be underperforming compared to those that are using it to support their work. So that's where it starts. But then over time, once you've got the AI stuff trained to deliver the job, why do you need a human being to deliver the job, right? So where I get the number from, it's not just pulled out my ass, is if you look at, and I posted this on my profile a little while back. If you look at between the 70s and 2000s, something like 70% of white collar jobs disappeared. White collar jobs went from being 22% of the workforce to 9% of the workforce in that time. And that was largely because of two things: automation first, and then offshoring second. So that's what happened to blue collar work. And I would argue on the tail end of that, blue collar workers who no longer had jobs got sold oxycodone as a relief to the pain that happened. But that's a different discussion that maybe in a future week we'll talk about. If you do the math now on the white collar work that will be replaced by AI in the same way that blue collar work was replaced by automation and offshoring, I think the stats were that white collar workers are currently 60% of the workforce, something like that, whereas blue collar manufacturing was 22%. But if you do the same math that over half does, it's still something like 40% of the workforce disappears, just disappears. That's a whole other conversation to be had about what happens, because it'll be another OxyContin. God knows, it's hard to wrap your head around. But suffice to say, it'll make our conversations about what is a livable minimum wage, they'll pale into insignificance compared to what's coming. I think my crystal ball isn't always reliable, but I think there are enough people saying this that it's the magnitude might be different, but the issue isn't going to be different. So, long story short, in this world of YouTube 3.0, of human beings making the difference where human beings can make the difference, which is in art, which is in seeing things the way a machine can't see things, which is in making other people feel things in the way a machine can't make people feel things yet. It strikes me that we should be leaning into our humanity as much as we can, and dropping the facade that we all wear in the working world, the masks we wear, the conformity that we wear. We're not being going to be rewarded for that in the short term, but I think it's the only way we move forward as humans. And it's kind of cool. So for the artists among you, for anyone who's a true corporate misfit, either an artist, idealist, entrepreneur, whichever the 8 types it comes to, It's our time is coming because the corporate machine is dying. That's what I think it really boils down to. I think the days of 10, 20, 100,000 people, organizations across the globe who are just massive bureaucracies, that's where the white collar stuff is going to go. And what I hope will be the outcome. I think will be the outcome, but I don't know yet because this came from the YouTube channel I was watching and thinking around that. Is I wouldn't be surprised to see us going back to hyperlocal situations where people trade services, barter services in their local population to deliver value to other people. So instead of a single company having an HR department, um, they might barter tech support for HR support, for example. Or a web designer might design a coach's website on the basis of getting coaching. Um, I think it's the only way that we make the white collar challenge paradox, whatever you want to call it, that we make it work, because I think the late stage capitalistic model of people will spend lots of money on services, people won't have the money to spend. I mean, I think it comes down to that. If 40% plus of the workforce is out of work and we don't address societal challenges like universal basic income, um, minimum basic wage, etc., if we don't address that stuff, then who's going to be buying the products? I don't know. I honestly don't. Um, because people are already maxing out their credit, and that the idea they can get more credit to pay for the things that they can't afford already is kind of it's not sustainable, I guess is the way I would describe it. So with that, I think I'm beginning to go off on a couple of other tangents now. Bottom line, it's tempting to use AI to present your identity. It's tempting to do what AI tells you to do to present yourself to the world. It's very enticing to do that, particularly because AI speaks in a voice that seems credible, seems knowledgeable, seems right. Uh, it's not a lot of the time. It's a lot of the time it's making stuff up. It's inventing stuff, and when you ask it if it's inventing, it says, "Yeah, absolutely, I invented that." So develop your critical faculties to not just take it at face value of what it says, and then find where you are you and shine like hell. That's my one takeaway from all of this, and it's where I was about to say pivoted back to writing. I've never left writing. I'm leaning back on writing in a way that I love at the moment. It's always been my comfort blanket, my place to lean on. So I'm leaning back on writing, and it feels kind of nice at the moment. So I will be writing more. I'll be speaking more. I'm going to take some sound bites from this during the week and cut them down, share them. But join me Friday. It'll probably be 11 a.m. Eastern on Friday. I think I'll put a LinkedIn live up so we can have a live chat. We'll do it via comments if you can make it. If you can't make it, you can see the recording of it. But hopefully, we'll see. I think it might well become a more regular thing if, as long as at least one person sees it and says, "Yeah, I like that. That was good." I will be a happy boy, and we will keep doing it. So, with that, I will say adieu. I haven't even got any tea to wish you. I'll cheers you with my teacup anyway. Cheers. All right. See you soon. Bye.